The year was 2157, and Captain Thomas Reed stood at the window of his spaceship, staring at the red planet Mars. He had been in space for 15 years now, but the sight still took his breath away. His ship, the Endeavour, was humanity's pride and joy. It could travel farther than any ship before it. Down on his control panel, a light blinked. His assistant, Lieutenant Hannah Brooks, looked up from her screen with confusion on her face. "Captain, we are getting those strange readings again," she said. "Something is sending signals from deep under the Pacific Ocean back on Earth. The computers cannot explain what it is." Thomas nodded but did not seem worried. These mystery signals had appeared many times before. Most scientists said they were just errors in the machines or strange rocks under the water. Nothing important. But one man thought differently. On Mars, in a small laboratory carved into the red rock, Dr. Michael Foster sat surrounded by papers and computer screens. He had spent 15 years studying old rocks from Earth. He believed that aliens had visited Earth millions of years ago, long before humans even existed. His colleagues laughed at him. The government had stopped giving him money twice. But Michael knew he was right. The patterns in ancient stones, the strange metals found in certain places, the mysterious signals from under the ocean, they all pointed to something artificial. Something left behind by visitors from the stars. What Thomas and Michael did not know was that Earth sat right in the middle of a war zone. Two massive alien empires had been fighting each other for 3,000 years. The Confederation of Aligned Systems controlled the western part of the galaxy. The Crithian Dominion ruled the eastern regions. Both empires wanted more territory, more resources, more power. Earth's solar system was on the border between them. Both sides had seen Earth before. They had sent small ships to study the planet and the humans who lived there. But the aliens decided humans were too primitive to matter. The humans had not even learned to travel faster than light yet. They were like children playing with toys while the adults fought real wars. So the aliens ignored Earth and continued their battles elsewhere. But something was about to change. Far away from Earth, in a massive warship floating in deep space, High Admiral Richard Blackwood sat in his command chair. He was an important leader in the Confederation military. Today, his science officer had brought him news that made his blood run cold. "Admiral, we have identified the source of those energy readings on the border," the science officer said. "It is a seed vault. One of the predecessor artifacts." Richard felt his heart pound in his chest. The predecessors were an ancient race that had disappeared millions of years ago. But they had left behind powerful technology scattered across the galaxy. Whoever found and controlled the seed vault could win any war. The weapons and knowledge inside could destroy entire planets or create new forms of life. "Where is it?" Richard demanded. "On a primitive world called Earth. The third planet in a system called Sol." Richard made his decision immediately. "Send the 7th Fleet. Secure that artifact before the Crithians learn about it. Leave now." But the Crithians had spies everywhere. 3 hours after the Confederation fleet began moving, Admiral Victor Kane of the Crithian Dominion received the same information. He was a hard man who had won many battles. He knew what he had to do. "Send the 4th Armada to Earth," Victor ordered. "We cannot let the Confederation have that artifact. Take it at any cost." Both fleets began traveling toward a small yellow star where 8 billion humans lived their ordinary lives. Most humans were happy. They went to work, spent time with their families, and dreamed about the future. They had no idea that 2 alien armies were coming to their world. On Earth, a young woman named Emily Carter finished her work at the Space Travel Office. She was tired and wanted to go home. Her brother David had sent her a message from Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. He was excited about some tiny life forms he had found in the ice. Captain Thomas Reed made plans to take his ship on a normal trip through the asteroid belt to check for problems. Dr. Michael Foster published another research paper about ancient aliens visiting Earth. He knew no one would read it or believe him. None of them knew they had only 3 weeks left. 3 weeks until everything would change. 3 weeks until 2 massive fleets would arrive at Earth. 3 weeks until their world would burn and die. The countdown had begun, but nobody heard the clock ticking. They were about to learn that the universe was far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. The alarm systems went crazy at 3 in the morning on March 15, 2157. Captain Thomas Reed was sleeping when the loud noise woke him up. He ran to the bridge of his ship still wearing his sleep clothes. "Captain, something is wrong," Hannah shouted. Her voice was shaking with fear. "Hundreds of ships just appeared at the edge of our solar system. They are not human ships." Thomas felt like ice water had been poured into his stomach. He looked at the screen and saw more dots than he could count. Each dot was a spaceship. But these ships were not from Earth. Back on Earth, Admiral Patricia Walsh was in charge of all human military forces in space. She commanded 42 warships, which was every battleship humanity had ever built. When she saw the alien ships on her screens, she knew humans were in terrible danger. Send them messages, Patricia ordered. Use mathematics, use pictures, use everything we have. Tell them we come in peace. Her communication officer sent every kind of friendly message humans had prepared for meeting aliens. Mathematical patterns. Pictures showing Earth and humans. Simple binary code saying hello. But the aliens did not answer. They did not even seem to notice the messages. Then the second alien fleet arrived from the opposite direction. Now there were two massive groups of alien ships, and Earth was stuck between them like a mouse between two cats. The alien ships were enormous. The smallest one was bigger than Earth's largest warship. Some were as long as cities. They had weapons that glowed with strange colors. The ships looked angry and ready to fight. This is Admiral Patricia Walsh of Earth, she broadcast again. You have entered our space. Please talk to us. We want peace. Nobody answered. Then one alien ship fired at another alien ship. The weapon was a beam of pure energy. It missed its target and hit 3 human warships instead. The human ships exploded instantly, killing everyone inside. Patricia felt sick. Return fire, she ordered, but her voice was drowned out by alarms. The battle began, and humanity was caught in the middle. Thomas watched in horror as Earth's navy was destroyed. The alien weapons were so powerful that human ships simply vanished when hit. Within 10 minutes, 30 of humanity's 42 warships were gone. Thousands of people dead. Get us out of here, Thomas yelled. Full speed away from Earth. Now. His ship ran away as fast as it could. On Mars, Dr. Michael Foster stood looking through a window at the stars. He could see flashes of light in space where the battle was happening. His hands were shaking. He was recording everything with his cameras, even though his heart was breaking. They came for the artifact, he whispered to himself. God help us all. The alien fleets moved closer to Earth. They seemed to be fighting over something in the Pacific Ocean. Their weapons began hitting Earth itself. Massive beams of energy punched through the atmosphere and struck the ocean. The water boiled away. The ocean floor cracked open. Emily Carter was at home in Seattle when the ground started shaking. At first, she thought it was just an earthquake. Then her apartment building collapsed. She barely escaped, running into the street. Around her, other buildings were falling down. People were screaming. The sky turned red. The ocean was on fire. Both alien fleets were digging into Earth, trying to reach something buried deep under the Pacific. They did not care that billions of people lived on the planet. They only cared about what they wanted to take. A massive crystal object was pulled from the Earth's core. It glowed with strange light and was covered in symbols that no human could read. The Confederation aliens captured it and began taking it to their ships. But removing the crystal broke something inside Earth. The planet's crust cracked like an eggshell. Volcanoes exploded all around the Pacific Ocean. Huge waves as tall as mountains crashed into every coastline. Earthquakes shook every continent. Emily tried to call her brother on Europa. She tried to call anyone. But there was only silence. On Mars, Michael tried calling his friends on Earth. He tried calling Emily, David, anyone he knew. Nobody answered. He could only watch through his telescope as Earth died. The beautiful blue planet turned red and black. The oceans boiled away. The land cracked open. Fire covered everything. 8,700,000,000 people died in 6 hours. The aliens who captured the crystal made a discovery that shocked them. The device needed human DNA to work. It would only activate for humans. They had just killed almost all the humans in the universe to get a weapon that only humans could use. Now both alien empires wanted to find the surviving humans. Captain Thomas Reed watched Earth burn from far away. His daughter had been visiting her mother in Tokyo. Now she was gone. Everything was gone. Hannah was crying. Most of the crew sat silent and still, unable to believe what they had seen. What do we do now? Someone asked quietly. Thomas looked at his crew. Somewhere out there, maybe a few million humans had survived on Mars, on Europa, on the moon, or on ships like his. That was all that remained of humanity. We hide, Thomas said. His voice was cold and hard. We survive. And someday, we make them pay for every single person they murdered today. 20 months after Earth died, Dr. Michael Foster lived like a rat hiding in the walls. Mars Colony had sent most people away when the aliens started hunting for humans. Michael stayed with 300 others who refused to leave. They moved into old mining tunnels deep under the ground where alien sensors could not find them. "Dr. Foster, we caught another alien message," said Lieutenant James Walker. James was young, maybe 25 years old. His entire family had died on Earth. Now his eyes were cold and hard like stones. Michael read the message on his screen and felt anger burn in his chest. "They are offering money for humans. 10,000 credits for each living human delivered to their research stations." "They are hunting us like animals," said Rachel Morrison. She used to design machines to make planets livable. Now she designed weapons from stolen alien technology. "No," Michael said. "They hunt us like keys. I finished studying the artifact data. The ancient aliens who made that crystal did not just visit Earth. They created us. They changed apes into humans millions of years ago. We are living keys for their technology." Everyone in the room went silent. "So we are just tools?" James asked angrily. "They made us to open their locks." "We are the inheritance," Michael explained. "The ancient aliens disappeared, but they left their technology for us. We are their children. Our DNA unlocks everything they built." "Then every artifact in the galaxy belongs to us," Rachel said slowly. "Yes. And the aliens destroyed our world to steal what is ours by birth." Across the solar system, surviving humans were learning and changing in ways that scared both alien empires. Captain Thomas Reed and his ship had joined with 17 other human ships. They had captured an alien supply ship and were taking it apart to learn how it worked. "The jump drive is actually simpler than we thought," Hannah explained to everyone. "We have been making it too complicated for decades. We can copy this." "How long?" Thomas asked. 3 months. Maybe 2. Within 6 months, human ships could jump across star systems just like the aliens. Within 1 year, humans attacked back. The first human attack hit an alien research station. The station had been studying captured humans like laboratory rats. Thomas led the attack himself. His soldiers moved through the station killing every alien they found. They rescued 43 humans who had been prisoners. But they also found something more valuable. They stole all the computer files from the station. Intelligence reports. Military codes. Secret information. "Look at this," Hannah said, reading through the stolen files. "They are terrified of us." She showed Thomas a report. It described humans as unexpectedly aggressive and dangerously adaptive. Another report said humans were prone to creative violence unprecedented in civilized species. One high-ranking alien recommended killing all humans immediately because they were too dangerous to keep alive. "They created a weapon," Thomas said quietly. "They just don't know we are pointing it at them." Humans began splitting into different groups. Some focused on rescuing captured humans from alien prisons. Others stole alien technology and learned how to use it. A few humans even disguised themselves as aliens and snuck into alien cities to spy. Elizabeth Grant was one of the spies. She had discovered that humans looked similar to a small alien species called the Talvari. With some makeup and fake documents, she pretended to be a Talvari merchant. She had spent 8 months living among the Confederation aliens, listening and learning. "They are fighting wars on 17 different fronts," she reported to Thomas over a secret communication channel. "The war with the Krithians is draining both empires. They are stretched thin. That is our advantage." On Mars, Michael made an important breakthrough. Using information from multiple ancient alien sites, he started building humanity's own version of the crystal weapon. "It is not just a storage device," he explained. "It is a weapon. When activated, it shuts down all technology except technology key to ancient alien DNA. Which means it shuts down everything except our technology." Rachel understood immediately. "A reset button. If we use it, everything stops working except our equipment." "How long until it is ready?" asked Admiral Patricia Walsh. She had survived Earth's destruction and now commanded all human military forces. 5 years. Maybe 10. "You will have everything you need," Patricia promised. Meanwhile, human populations slowly grew. Hidden bases in asteroid belts and ice moons started having babies again. Every child was precious. Every birth was celebrated. William Harper was born 18 months after Earth died. He would never see Earth's blue sky or feel rain. His first memories were cold metal walls and his mother's stories about a beautiful world that once existed. This new generation grew up knowing only war. 3 years after Earth burned, humans attacked again. This time they hit 7 alien supply bases at the same time. The attacks destroyed the alien ability to supply their forces in an entire region of space. Both alien empires began to realize something frightening. There was a third power in the war now. Small, hidden, ruthless, and learning fast. Admiral Richard Blackwood stared at reports of 23 attacks in 1 month. Ships vanished. Bases went silent. Every investigation found the same answer. Humans. We created this problem, his intelligence officer said. We should have left their world alone. Find them, Richard ordered. Find where they hide and destroy them before they become unstoppable. But humanity did not have one hiding place. They were everywhere and nowhere. Ghosts in the dark. Seeds scattered by a dying world. Captain Thomas Reed stood on the bridge of a captured alien warship his crew had renamed Remembrance. His fleet now had 4 to 7 ships. Send a message to all human groups, Thomas ordered. Tell them the Ghost Fleet is going hunting. It is time to stop hiding. 20 years after Earth died, Admiral Thomas Reed stood on the bridge of his warship Valiant. His hair had turned gray and his face showed deep lines from stress and age. But his eyes still burned with the same fire that kept him alive when his world burned. Give me a report, he said. Ghost Fleet is ready, Hannah Brooks answered. She was his second in command now. 20 years of war had changed her young face into something harder. We have 73 ships in 4 groups. The alien supply convoy will arrive in 40 minutes. Thomas studied the battle map. The Crithian supply fleet had 18 huge ships carrying enough food and weapons to supply their armies for a year. Only 20 guard ships protected them because the aliens thought this route was safe. They would learn they were wrong. Do we have word from Strike Group Delta? Thomas asked. Yes, Admiral. Commander William Harper says his team is ready. Thomas felt proud when he heard that name. William had been born after Earth fell. He never saw their homeworld or felt real sunlight. The young man was 20 years old now and already commanded his own strike team. He was brilliant at planning attacks. A whole generation had been raised for war. Across the galaxy, humanity had grown in the shadows. 8 million humans now lived in 200 hidden bases. The survivors had learned to move like water, striking without warning and disappearing before the enemy could fight back. The Confederation aliens called them demons. The Crithians called them the Haunted Ones. Both empires had learned to fear the dark. On Mars, Dr. Michael Foster worked in a laboratory that would have seemed impossible 20 years ago. The hidden facility under the mountain had grown into a huge research center with 5,000 people and technology that made both alien empires look primitive. Run the test again, Michael ordered. The computer showed a star system. In the center, a device activated. A wave expanded outward at light speed. Every ship stopped working. Every station went dark. Every weapon shut down. Everything except devices built by humans. The silence weapon is ready, Rachel Morrison announced. She was the chief engineer now. We can make 3 more within a year. Michael nodded slowly. Then it is time. Time for what? Asked Colonel James Walker. He commanded Mars Colony's defense forces now. Time to stop running, Michael said. Time to take back what they stole from us. The alien convoy entered the trap zone exactly on schedule. Their sensors showed nothing unusual. Just empty space and a few asteroids. Then the Ghost Fleet appeared. 73 warships suddenly became visible, their invisibility systems shutting down at the same moment. The alien guards barely had time to raise shields before the first attack hit. Human weapons were different now. They had taken the best technology from both alien empires, combined it, and added improvements neither side had thought of. The weapons moved at nearly light speed. Special torpedoes passed through shields like they were not there. Computer attacks turned enemy ships against each other. The guard ships died in the first minute. All ships, capture the supply vessels, Thomas ordered. Target their engines only. I want them intact. William Harper led his boarding team through a hole blown in an alien ship's hull. His team moved with perfect coordination. They wore powered armor that made them faster and stronger than the aliens. Secure the cargo area, William commanded. Medical team, check for prisoners. They found 37 humans in the ship's research section. Test subjects for experiments. Most were barely alive. William felt cold rage settle over him like always. He had been born into this war. He had seen what both empires did to captured humans. They treated his people like laboratory animals. Get them to the medical ship, he ordered quietly. And kill anyone who tries to stop you. The alien crew did not try to stop them. They had learned that fighting humans in close combat was suicide. Instead, they abandoned ship and escape pods and fled into space. The Ghost Fleet captured 15 supply ships intact. The resources would keep human operations running for years. More importantly, they had struck a major blow against the Crithian ability to fight their war. But Thomas was not finished. Send a message to both the Confederation and the Dominion, he ordered. Broadcast it on all their military channels. Hannah looked surprised. Sir, we have been silent for 20 years. I know. But it is time they heard from us directly. The message went out across half the galaxy. Every military ship and command station of both great empires received it. A simple image appeared. Earth as it once was, blue and beautiful and alive. Then Earth as it died, burning and broken. Then a voice spoke. Thomas Reed's voice, steady and cold. You destroyed our world. You killed our families. You hunted us like animals. You thought we were primitive. You thought we would break. You were wrong. We are humanity and we have been forged in the fires you set. This is your only warning. Leave our people alone and end your war. Or we will take everything from you just as you took everything from us. We are the Ghost Fleet. We are everywhere. We are nowhere. And we are done hiding. The message ended. Across both empires, military leaders watched in stunned silence. High Admiral Richard Blackwood sat in his office replaying the message. 20 years ago he had ordered the attack on Earth. He thought the primitive humans would be extinct within a year. Instead they had become the most dangerous force in the galaxy. He opened a communication channel. Get me Admiral Victor Kane. Emergency priority. Admiral Kane appeared on the screen. The two men had been enemies for 40 years. Now they looked at each other with understanding. You saw it? Richard asked. Everyone saw it. They broadcast on civilian channels too. My intelligence says humans have over 70 warships now, possibly more. They have hit our supply lines and stolen our technology. And our scientists say they are building weapons we do not understand. The Confederation's numbers match ours, Richard said. What do? We created this monster, Kane replied. Maybe we should work together to stop it. A joint operation. I see no other choice. They gave us a warning. If we wait, they will deploy whatever weapon they are building. Then we strike first, Richard decided. We send everything. A combined fleet big enough to overwhelm them through numbers alone. How many ships? 5,000. Maybe more. That will leave our borders undefended. If the humans win, borders will not matter. The two admirals made their plans. Neither realized they were walking into a trap. On Mars, Michael received intelligence about the planning session. Elizabeth's spy team had intercepted everything. They are coming, he told the council. 5,000 ships. The largest fleet ever assembled. Admiral Patricia Walsh smiled coldly. Good. We wanted them all in one place. Are we ready? Thomas asked over the communication link. Michael looked at Rachel, who nodded once. The silence weapon is ready, Michael confirmed. We have prepared the Sol system for their arrival. They will fight us in the graveyard of Earth. On our terms. How long until they arrive? 4 weeks. Then we have work to do, Patricia said. Every human ship, every soldier, every weapon we have built comes home. We are going to show them what happens when you try to destroy humanity and fail. The combined alien fleet arrived at the edge of the Sol system like a storm of metal and fire. 5,237 warships emerged from faster-than-light travel. The Confederation's sleek angular ships mixed with the Crithian Dominion's organic-looking vessels. Ancient enemies united for the first time in 3,000 years. United by their fear of humanity. High Admiral Richard Blackwood stood on his flagship watching the screens fill with contact signals. Beside him on a holographic link, Admiral Victor Kane commanded from his Crithian dreadnought. Sensor report. Richard demanded. Detecting human vessels throughout the system, his officer reported. Concentrated near Mars. We estimate 500 to 700 ships. They are outnumbered 7 to 1, Victor observed. Perhaps they are not as ready as we feared. Richard was not so sure. In 20 years, humans had never fought a battle they did not think they could win. Proceed carefully. Keep all defense systems active. The massive fleet began moving toward Mars. On the Valiant, Admiral Thomas Reed watched them come. His hair was completely white now and scars marked his face. Around him, his crew worked with practiced skill. Hannah at weapons control, others at their stations, all of them veterans of 20 years of war. They brought everything, Hannah said. Good, Thomas replied coldly. We wanted them all here. Dr. Foster, status. On Mars, Michael stood in the heart of the weapon facility, surrounded by ancient alien technology that humanity had mastered. The silence weapon is fully charged. We are ready. Commander Harper, ground forces status. Thomas asked. William Harper commanded from the surface of Mars where 20,000 human soldiers waited in fortified positions. All units ready, Admiral. Admiral Walsh, fleet status. Patricia Walsh commanded from the orbital platform above Mars. All ships ready, sir. Thomas took a deep breath. Through the window, he could see Earth. What remained of it? A dead scorched rock wrapped in gray clouds. 20 years had not healed those wounds. Nothing ever would. But they could make sure it never happened again. All ships, Thomas broadcast across the fleet. Today we fight for every person who died when Earth burned. We fight for every child who will never see their homeworld. We fight so no species will ever suffer what we suffered. Open fire. The human fleet surged forward and the Battle of Sol began. The first clash was chaos. Human ships were outnumbered but not outmatched. 20 years of stolen technology had given them weapons that confused enemy systems. Shields flickered and failed. Ships exploded in silent bursts of light. William watched from Mars as fire filled the sky above. Energy beams and missiles crossed paths. Ships broke apart in the darkness. They are pushing hard on the Western Front, his officer reported. Trying to reach Mars orbit. Let them come closer, William ordered. Remember the plan. The enemy fleet advanced, their massive numbers overwhelming local defenses. 300 human ships faced 5,000 enemies. Simple math said the humans would lose. But humanity had learned that math was not everything. Now, Thomas commanded. Across the Sol system, hidden stations activated. Not weapons but jammers and disruptors. The massive enemy fleet suddenly went blind. Sensors stopped working. Communications failed. Navigation systems gave wrong information. What is happening? Richard demanded as his screens went dark. Report. Unknown interference, Admiral. All long-range sensors offline. Communication with the fleet is broken. Sir, half our ships report their jump drives are not working. Victor Kane faced the same chaos. This is a trap. They wanted us here. Richard realized the truth. All ships, retreat. Get us out of this system before. The silence weapon activated. Michael watched the reading spike as the device unleashed its power. Ancient alien technology channeled through human innovation, controlled by the DNA that made humanity the heirs of the ancients. A wave of invisible energy expanded outward from Mars at the speed of light. It swept through the Sol system like the hand of God. And everything stopped. On the Absolute, Richard felt his ship die around him. Every system shut down. Weapons, shields, engines, life support. Emergency lights flickered and failed. The displays vanished. Darkness and silence. Across the fleet, 5,000 ships went dead simultaneously. But the human vessels kept moving. All ships, Thomas ordered calmly. The field is active. They are helpless. Begin boarding operations. Take prisoners where possible. Show no mercy to those who resist. What followed was less a battle than an execution. Human ships moved through the disabled enemy fleet like sharks through fish. Boarding parties breached hull after hull. Faced with surrender or death by suffocation, most aliens chose surrender. William led his troops through a Confederation cruiser. They met resistance. Enemy soldiers fighting with knives and improvised clubs now that their advanced weapons did not work. The humans in powered armor overwhelmed them easily. The cruiser was secured in 40 minutes. Richard Blackwood made a decision. He wrote a message on an old-fashioned paper pad and sent it via escape pod to the nearest human vessel. The message was simple. I surrender. I ask to negotiate. Thomas received the message 3 hours into the battle. By then, humanity had captured over 2,000 enemy ships. Another 1,000 had been destroyed. The rest were still being taken. Bring him to Mars, Thomas ordered. And bring Admiral Kane if he still lives. Both admirals were brought to Mars in chains. They were led through corridors past human soldiers who watched them with cold hatred. Finally they entered a conference room where humanity's leaders waited. Admiral Thomas Reed. Dr. Michael Foster. Admiral Patricia Walsh. Colonel James Walker. Commander William Harper. And dozens of others. Sit, Thomas ordered. The alien admirals Saturday. For a long moment, no one spoke. You planned this from the beginning, Richard finally said. Yes, Thomas replied simply. The moment you destroyed Earth, we started planning this day. You could have killed us all, Victor said. Why didn't you? Because we are not you, Patricia answered. When we had you helpless, we did not commit genocide. What do you want? Richard asked. Thomas stood and walked to the window overlooking Mars. Your war has lasted 3,000 years. Billions dead. Hundreds of worlds destroyed. 20 years ago your war touched our world. You killed 8,700,000,000 people who had nothing to do with your fight. He turned back, and the aliens flinched at the fury in his eyes. We could shut down every system in your empires, Thomas continued. We could walk through your worlds and take whatever we want while you are helpless. But that would make us like you. Instead, we offer terms. William pulled up a map. This region is now the Terran Accord. Humanity's territory. You will recognize our independence. Impossible, Victor protested. We don't care, Hannah said coldly. Second, Michael continued, both empires will end hostilities immediately. Your war ends today. You cannot enforce that, Richard argued. We have 6 silence weapons, Rachel said. We can deploy them to any system in days. If you restart the war, we shut you down again. Third, Patricia said, any species that wishes to leave your empires and join us will be allowed to do so. And if we refuse? Richard asked quietly. Thomas leaned close. Then we activate the weapons in every major system you control. We shut down your civilizations and pick apart your empires piece by piece. Your choice. Peace or destruction. That is not much of a choice, Victor muttered. It is more than you gave us, William said coldly. Silence filled the room. Finally Richard spoke. I need to consult my government. You have 12 hours, Thomas said. After that, we start with your homeworld. 12 hours later, both admirals returned with their government's agreement. The Treaty of Mars was signed. The Terran Accord was recognized. The 3,000-year war ended. Within a month, 23 species joined the Accord. Within a year, 400 star systems belonged to humanity's alliance. Humanity began rebuilding. They could not save Earth, but they created new Earth in a habitable zone. It would take 50 years to complete. Thomas retired and lived to see forests planted and oceans filled on new Earth. He saw the first child born under open sky. Michael became Chancellor of the Science Institute. Patricia served as Supreme Commander for 20 years. William became humanity's youngest admiral and later High Chancellor. 50 years after Earth's destruction, Thomas stood on New Earth for the last time. He was old and dying, but he had lived to see this. A new world thriving with life. Hannah stood beside him. We did it, she said softly. We survived, Thomas corrected. And we made sure we did not become monsters. He died 3 days later, peacefully. His funeral was attended by representatives from 200 species. 100 years after Earth's destruction, the Terran Accord had grown to 900 star systems and 53 member species. Humanity numbered in the billions again. The silence weapons were never used again, but they remained. A silent reminder. New Earth thrived, beautiful and green, with a memorial at its heart listing 8,700,000,000 names. They had been primitive. They had been victims. They had nearly been destroyed. But they survived. And in surviving, they became something the galaxy had never seen. A species defined not by conquest but by resilience and the absolute refusal to let tragedy define their future. The ashes of old Earth had given birth to something stronger. Something that would endure.